G'day and welcome back to another episode of Tomo's Tune-Ups, proudly sponsored by Minisport. On this episode we are talking primarily about the clutch arm and plunger. Now there are two different types of clutch arms. This is the standard replacement type. You can buy a heavy duty type off to the side here. And this is the plunger in which the clutch arm goes into, just like that. And then the release bearing sits on the very end. Now, as a rule of thumb, I personally prefer to change both these items at the same time. Why is that? Well, this item can bend, the ball can wear off, it can snap, it can break. As the ball goes inside the socket, they generally wear on each other, and therefore as one item wears, the other one will wear as well. So here is one I prepared earlier. This is off Apprentice Kev's car, and this clutch arm is worn. Put it inside here, and as you can hear, it's quite a lot of movement inside there. If I put the new one inside there, nice and firm. So what happens is, as you saw over time, the ball and the socket wear. You may just be able to get away with doing your clutch arm and not worry about the plunger so much, but like I said, a good rule of thumb is to make sure that you replace them together. Now what can happen over time is this ball, as I said before, wears off, it snaps, it breaks, it bends. The arm occasionally will have a pretty big kick in it, so I think I've actually got one sitting behind me here. It can be like that, whether it came like that from the factory or whether someone has bent it to try and get more out of it. You may be able to adjust the clutch to get rid of the extra amount of movement, because you may find that 2 mil movement down at the ball and socket end might result in about 20 mil of movement up at the very top. So it's worthwhile inspecting the components individually and double checking them. Not only that, we're going to talk about this on another episode, but briefly today, this is the pin that sits inside here and in which it pivots on. As you can see, this bolt, or should I say pin, is moving quite freely up and down and even side to side. So although it's got a little bit of movement inside the bottom here, by the time it gets to the top, you'll find it will limit the actual engagement of the clutch. So when you're pulling these components apart, it's important to make sure that you check the pins down the bottom here, up the top where the piston is for the clutch slave cylinder, as well as the arm, and even the plunger. Now all these components can be bought individually. If you buy it as a kit with the upgraded arm, which I showed you just before, you can buy it as a complete assembly. You put it in and away you go. It is important to note as well that on the end you do have your clutch release bearing, which we have discussed on another episode. You can buy the standard replacement or even the upgraded heavy duty one. So depending on what you're doing in the vehicle, it is worthwhile possibly changing that. If there's any sort of movement in there, like any bearing, throw it over your shoulder, get yourself a new one. They're super easy to do, especially when the clutch is apart. But if you're unsure, make sure you hit them up at the phone number above. Contact them at www.minisport.com.au, and if you've got clutch engagement problems, this is a really good place to start.